G'day gang, yeah, this is Rod, and yeah, we're going to have a quick look at a couple of Forward Classifying Sluices, and they're both based on the Gold Rat bare bones sluice boxes options, and you can buy them from their site, of course. And this guy here I made up after watching a video on Grotty Gold on YouTube, and they show their one in action. And look, they're even using a bucket just to get some water flow past the material, and of course then you have your catchment part. And yeah, they did well out of theirs like that. So you don't necessarily need pumps and what have you, but I guess, you know, we all like to play with gear, and perhaps it may be that you're in a position where there's just a nearby hole of water available, and it's going to make more sense to use a pump. So we keep our options open. But here we go. Here, this is the first instance of what will be a I don't know if I'm going to do this one-handed or not. Hopefully I can. We'll put it, look, it's not squared up, but just to give you an example, there's your feeder nozzle, and that one, this one here, would marry up with the 25mm flat hose, and also the 2,000 gallon an hour bilge pump, which is connected up to a dimmer switch. But basically, if the flow's too high, you can turn it back down. And we've just extended the wiring a little bit to put clamps for the battery, and that would be married up with a 50 amp hour lithium battery. So that's all pretty good. And yeah, like I said, I saw it on the other channel. I thought, oh look, I'm going to have a go at one of these. I'm going to pull it apart a bit just to show you what I've done. This little bit here, this is actually a strip for it keeps folders in order or whatever, or folders together. I got it 85 cents at Officeworks, and it's type of like a little U-shaped clip that goes on the end, and it just holds this hard plastic down. So yeah, you know, anything that makes things work better, and if they're cheap. Now we also have here and here, yeah, so I've got a strap that I can kind of hook onto it and just carry it over my shoulder, which I have done. I recently used it at the get-together for Adventure Gold for a guy named Andrew who needs a little bit of help and support from the prospecting community, of which many came together to do, and it was a really nice day. So good luck to Andrew, we wish you all the best. So back to this. So what we have is this is actually a cable tray. I know that Gold Rat do their own version, and it just slips on, and theirs is pretty cool, of course. But I had the cable tray, which I retrieved from a skip bin just around the corner where our primary school is getting built. Imagine that, a new school getting built. And so I grabbed it. I knew that I could use it. So, and when I saw the Grotty Gold YouTube video, I thought, oh hang on, I've got something similar there, so let's go and buy the 12-inch sluice. So I did, and actually cut about 200mm off the end, because it's got to go in my van standing upright, vertical, and not take up too much space, because I quite often, if I go away, it's normally for a few days. So what we're going to do here is we're going to come around here. I did buy what is called PVC cushion. PVC cushion, I won't call it cushion rug, just PVC cushion matting. And I do have a few of these pieces for sale actually on eBay. But it's pretty cool. It's like miner's moss, but a lot cheaper. And it's 15mm high, and it does catch the material. But what I found was, with that in here, and especially when it was going under a flowing creek, it was kind of a little bit heavy and cumbersome to manoeuvre about and use, and also for the cleanup. So I decided to try a different version, which here is AstroTurf, and this is just a cheap mat from Bunnings. But as you can see, with all these cavities, you've got all these little catchment sections. And this guy here, this is a piece of all thread, and it acts as a, it holds it down. So, and then when you want to do your cleanup, you just undo this via the wing nuts and pull it out. So that's pretty good. So what we have is, with the theory being, you've got water coming here, hopefully via this pump here, and the 2,000 gallon an hour or this nozzle I should say, and the 2,000 gallon an hour pump, bilge pump, gushing up here. You put your material on here, which I've done in the creek, and it works, and then it classifies as it comes up over here. Then the larger rocks and so forth end up on here, and see you later, mate. So that's all pretty cool, and sometimes some things work out pretty nicely. So I did do another piece of all thread underneath here to act as a support for this section here, because it's pretty wide, and being corrugated it could be a weak spot. And what I found was, if I tighten these up here, this guy it holds in pretty good, but to get it to hold in really snug, if I do up the side wing nut via the all thread, I don't know if you heard that or saw that, but it kind of released it. So when you do up the side bit here, this cross member support, it actually also pulls this in a bit, and it holds this section tight. Now, I did make one little mistake here, not really a mistake, but just things move. I don't even have a static vise. I'm in a backyard, small little backyard, with basically, if you look at this was given to me by a mate's mother something like 30 years ago, and I sit stuff on it and drill it, and it's nearly cactus all these years later, but you know, 3 decades worth, that's kind of pretty good. And yeah, so as you can see, I've got no real tool shed as such, and yeah, it's, you know, get a couple of bricks and get a hammer and bend things and all that kind of stuff. Maybe a little G-clamp onto here if I've got to angle grind and what have you. But yeah, it's sometimes mistakes are made, and this is more just a bit of a little careless mistake. Once again, this is the hard plastic that sits on top of the here, so it's pretty solid. And then we've got a little right angle piece of plastic profile here as well, just to catch stuff as it comes back. So I'm going to lift it up. And oh yeah, and this also has a piece of all thread going across it as a cross member. So I'm going to lift it up one-handed, and yeah, there you go. And here we go. Here's your piece of doormat, doormat, I guess. And yeah, and also 2 pieces of cross member going across to keep it all down, so nothing moves around much. And of course, we've got your standard gold rat clamp, and underneath, as you can see, we've got a cross member. And the only reason I'm saying I made a mistake, by the way, is if you look at this bolt here and come across the other bolt here, it doesn't match it up, it's not square, but I've made adjustments underneath, and it just works out that this guy here's on a bit of an angle. But you know, we all have pride and would prefer to do things perfectly square if possible. But, and also here, this little innocuous red mark, that lets me know where to line it up to get it to sit in. And here we go, and we're back in. And once again, do up the side, push this down, do up the side, and Bob's your uncle, so as they say. And yeah, we used this guy up at Creswick, and it worked all right. Now, here's the other thing. When I made this guy, I needed a bit of material for the front. I don't know, what do you call it? It's not a skid plate. Disposal plate, I guess we'll call it. We'll call this a disposal plate too, because the material comes up here and then has to be disposed of. So what I did was, I purchased a shelving set from Bunnings for $18, $18.95. So I had a few sheets of material to work with, and which helped me with this guy here, the 6-inch, which we are going to get to. And I've been looking at this one thinking, how am I going to make a stand for it? And you can, of course, you can buy the aftermarket stands and what have you, and they bolt on the side. But I thought, look, you know, if I can save myself a couple of bob, like this guy here, that was $99 for the roll, and I only needed literally 1/10 of the whole roll for the project. And as it turns out, I think I'm going to rather use the AstroTurf. I thought, well, you know, let's try save a couple of dollars. So what I've been able to do is, bear with me, what I've been able to do is, I'll put this guy over here. Yeah, we've got a stand here that is made from the shelving that I purchased. And the sluice sits on it. We're on an angle, we're on an angle. If you were to count the holes, there's one hole less at the front than here, so you've got a little bit of a slope. There is a bit of movement. It's strange to say, this guy here, it came with 6 of these support right angle brackets, and I would have really loved to have had another 2 here. So I've got right angle bracket there, and also here and here on both sides. But at the front, I've only been able to kind of go there and there. I possibly could turn it around and go the other way, but yeah, we're two right angle brackets short, which is kind of funny, because it's a 3-shelf, 3-tier shelf that I bought, and it just seems like an odd amount of right angle brackets. I thought there would have been one for every corner, and then up to the next level and so on, but not to be. But anyway, so for literally part of my $18, we have made a stand for the Sluice, and it's I think it's adequate. Now I'm just going to pick up the Sluice again, bear with me. This is a bit awkward while I'm carrying the camera, and it'd be nice if I put it around the right way, but I'm just going to share a little bit of my thinking here. Okay, so we're back on it. Now what we have is we have the Wingnut that was for the cross member, and also the support here and the tensioner. That actually marries up pretty nicely with one of the bolts off the right angle bracket. So I could literally just do a little vertical, and marry these two up, and then you've got a pretty good bit of support. I don't know if I'd even be that fussed at the rear. You could literally put an hockey strap over it if it really worried you, but as long as it's here, because this is where all the weight, the water, the material, this is where it's all going, so I think this is the more important part. But yeah, very cheap stand, and I think it would do the job. So anyway, so that's the 12-inch one. So I did that, I used it, put the strap on it, and put it over my shoulder, and it was a little bit heavy, a little bit annoying, and takes up a bit of room in my van, but the theory's good, and it's a good item, don't worry about that. I did get gold, I can tell you that now. Funny, I go to Creswick, I take my metal detector, and I haven't found any gold there with the metal detector, but I always get a result with even just a shovel and a $10 pan. But this little guy here, I think this one's a bit of a cutie. I really like it, and a little bit chuffed with it all. So this guy here is married up with the 1200 bilge pump, and there's no voltage regulator on that. It's just straight out onto the lithium battery. And this one currently has the 20mm flat hose, as opposed to the other guy there with the 25. And what we're going to do is literally, as a first go, just going to G-clamp this nozzle onto here. Now this nozzle, there you go, you've got 2 larger side pieces, and you've got 2 middle bits. And this guy here, of course, will be like radiator hose clamped on. I've had to kind of do a little sleeve thing. This guy here, it's too wide for the 20mm, but I've got a smaller pipe section there that it goes over, so that'll all marry up pretty good. But look, I really am kind of chuffed about this guy. It's only a 6-inch gold rat sluice, and I did have another. Oh, don't step on your new voltage regulator switch. I did have another video out for Frankenstein, but oh well, it's moved on. Now it's Bride of Frankenstein. So what we've got here is we've literally just got conduit pipes, and on a little bit of an angle, and also down lower there's also another hole there, so for a little bit of adjustment. And there is a little bit to this guy, so we've got a handle, nice and easy to pick up and maneuver around. And here, this section here was added on, and if I lift it up, you'll also see that I had to form the wider, I don't know, what do you call it, the fill area of the sluice. There is a name, the flow area perhaps. So I had to grab this, and that section here that's bolted on, that was actually made out of the offcut of the rear here. So, you know, it's good to reuse things. And also at the rear here, what we have here is, yeah, let's lift it up. We have a piece of all thread underneath, once again another little cross member to keep it more stable. Everything's Wingnut, so you can kind of easily dismantle and so forth. And I've just noticed my battery's getting low, so I better hurry. So, okay, so now, as I said, I needed some metal, so I bought that bracket bizzo from Bunnings Warehouse, which is pretty popular hardware here in Australia. And we formulated a slide on top, which I will now take off. Now what we've got is, I may be able to wiggle and jiggle this, I may not. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too, once again, like the other one, if you loosen off the wing nuts, it allows this section to open up wider and it's easier to get this out. And also another little part of the offcut of the larger guy here I used was these little add-ons here, because when you put the material here, if it rises up, we've just got a little bit more height to keep it in the area before it gets to the, what do I call it? Disposal plate, skid plate, whatever, I don't know, maybe I'll think of something better. But here we go, just a quick little wing nut, and I'll just spin it and let it drop for what we're doing here. And we'll do it on this side as well. This is all just to get out the classifier section, and which is one piece with the disposal plate. Now, because I've got the handle here, we do get a little bit tight on this section here, so it might take a little bit, oh, I was going to say, it might take a little bit of wiggle and jiggling, but apparently not. So here we go, I'll turn that underneath, give you a look. And what we've got is, yeah, so you've got like two sections, so that it literally sits over here. So you've got two little walls and a roof, and it sits on here, slots onto it. And we've had to cut out a few little odd bod sections, just for the wing nuts and stuff. Here we go, hang on, I'll turn that around. So here we go, here we got a section there where I've cut it out, just so it would sit over this guy. But that's all cool. So now we also, here we have the PVC cushion matting. We have a little bit of ribbed mat here, rubber mat, that you can buy as a tile from, once again, from Bunnings. I think it's 800 by 800, self-adhesive rubber mat it's called, and it's about $11, and yeah, you know, it's a bit cheaper than what you get on eBay. Now, here we have, once again, the PVC cushion matting and coil cushion matting. And today, you wouldn't read about it, I was walking along and I knew I wanted something to disrupt this just a little bit more as everything goes over. And I was walking along and there was literally a dish rack, you know, when you put your wet dishes into just to drip dry, and that was there. And it turned out, I looked at it, I thought, shit, that's going to maybe fit perfectly into the sluice. So I grabbed it, angle grinded off the angle bits that come up, and I took the section out, and it sits here purposely. It's clamped down here, and it doesn't rise up, it actually sits flush. So I'm pretty chuffed about that. So we come back here, and what I've got here is, this is 8 mesh that I purchased off eBay, and yeah, as you can see, it's a flat section, but it's a floating section. So once again, we got more of that rib mat, and this floating section sits up nice and high, so as material and water comes over here, anything that wants to drop down will drop down and get caught into the rib mat. So pretty cool, eh? And to hold it down, we needed another cross member. And geez, if I could win lotto every time I said the word cross member, I'd be a rich man, I'll tell you. But it works, it always works to my way of thinking. So this is the 6-inch, Bride of Frankenstein, I think we'll call it. And yeah, just down the bottom here, just a little T section, just to add a little bit of width to the rear bit where all the weight and the water and pressure goes onto. And you could put another piece of pipe out there if you really wanted to stabilise it even more. But let's see if I can get this on, get this guy on one. Oh, that was good. I dropped it and caught it. So there you go. As I said, so we wanted the material for the skid plate, and there are little holes at the back. So sometimes I notice when I use the larger one that some of the finer material was still getting up the back. So I've done a few little more drain holes. So let's see if I can arse it and actually get this in one-handed. It'll be a good effort if I can. Nothing, no promises, but let's go. Oh, not bad. As I said, we've got a little sticky point here where the handle is, and that handle's real handy. It's a handy handle. And I'm trying to do this one-handed. We're not quite there yet. Not quite there. Let's see if we can. I'd really be pleased if I could. I may have to get the pliers out, and just one little spot here is causing a bit of trouble. And I'm not that worried if I can't do this, because I think we've all got an idea of what's happening. But I'm going to put this down for 2 seconds, and I'm just going to get that in. And there you go. Hopefully you can see that. That went straight in nice and easy. And we've clipped this guy past the handle. Here we go. We just clip that part, this section here, past the handle. It's just a screw, but you know, it kind of gets in the way and you have to put it in on an angle. But it's clipped in. Sometimes I'm a little bit more forward. It's normally completely level with that, but you know what, I could live with that. I'm not that fussed. And that is the 6-inch forward flowing sluice with carry handle and nice and easy conduits, which are, here's a section here. As I said, there's plenty of building going on around my area, so I find stuff that I need sometimes pretty easily. I was going to use the this section off the Bunnings shelf as the legs. I was going to do something there that way, perhaps turn it around and bolt it on, but you know what, I had the conduit. I just went to Bunnings for what was 75 cents, bought a couple of clamps, and I've always got a piece of all thread around, and I quite often buy a packet of Wingnuts just for some things that I know you're going to want to pull apart pretty easy. I quite often, yeah, do the Wingnut stuff. And this little addition, I was pretty chuffed. I think that I think they look kind of cool, to be honest. They had a little bit of design flair to it all. So there you go. So that is an example of a 6-inch forward classifying sluice with a bit of an insight to the way the thinking of the pump setups. Here's the 12-inch sluice, and that's a ripper, and once again I'm pretty pleased that I could make a stand for dirt cheap. In my van it'd take up a bit of room. I think I'm more going to use this guy in reality, but truth to be known, in the end of the day I think an 8-inch wide one would be just that little bit better. So I'm not too sure about that. But quick look at the garden. Look at all my snow peas. They're there. And here we have a really good potato plant. That pot there has snow peas, it has a carrot plant, and it has a potato plant. And here we have broccolini, which is kind of weird because I planted broccoli seeds, but it's kind of spread out like broccolini. And just to top it off, check this out. I cut the section off here for the broccoli plant, and now it's got about 6 sprigs all sprouting up now that the top section was cut off. But anyway, this is about sluices, so I get best I get back to it. So there you are, gang. It's amazing what you can do with a bit of time on your hands. Not a fortune. That was purchased for about $120 with the Dream Mat as a sluice, but I've added width and length to the filling up section, the flow section. I'm not sure what the hell you'd call that. And then and that guy there, home delivered from Queensland to Melbourne, the 12-inch one, and with 200mm cut off the rear, that guy was $107. And admittedly I did buy a roll of this stuff for $99, but the little Bunnings mat, I think it was about $8, and I had the AstroTurf that I'd purchased for about $18 from Bunnings as well. The electrical cable grate, that I got that for nothing. Once again, we also bought the Bunnings 3-tier shelving unit, but that's, you know, that's also been used as a stand. and it's been used on the disposal skid plate section of this guy. And really, I don't know, somewhere around $150 all up for that if you kind of calculate just that section I used. And this guy here, well, the original business was with the Doormat was 120, I think, but everything else is basically I've found the conduit for the legs. I bought the clamps and the all thread. A little bit hard to put an exact price on that, but you know, Forward Classifying Sluice for say $100. And then when we're looking at the pumps, this guy here, 2,000 gallon an hour with the switch to reduce power, the flow if need be. Rather than putting a valve on and making the pump work harder to push stuff through, I think you're better off having a regulating switch and just turn the volume down if it's going too fast. So that's the thinking there. But those two together, you're talking about $50. These 1,200 gallon an hour ones, they're pretty cheap. And I think it was Tools. Oh, I can't think of the name of it. Something Tools, Aussie Tools or something. You can get the 25mm flat hose for literally, I think it's $22. And this guy here was purchased on, I think, eBay as a 10-metre section. This is obviously shorter. That was something like 20-25 bucks as well. So really somewhere around, at the most, 180 for this guy, and about say somewhere around 140, 150 for this guy. And that's a fair bit of fun for your money if you would add them all up. 2 sluices for under 300 bucks. And but then again, let's double that if we were to include the 50 amp hour lithium battery, which interesting to say, I do have a C-Tech smart charger for the lithium battery, but the inverter in my van, it doesn't like the inverter and it will not smart charge as a 240 volt power outlet. So what I've got to do is I'm going to use my existing battery, put the other battery next to it, and then wire them up parallel, which will be positive to positive, negative to negative, and it'll actually work out. I've said that actually wrong. Coming from the voltage regulator, I'll run one to the second battery and the positive, and I'll run the negative to the first battery and make it all one circuit, and I'll be able to charge the secondary battery, being the pump battery, off the van solar panel and inverter, and my camping battery will just stay in the battery box. But they're both 50 amp hour Renogy lithium batteries, so they're compatible to make parallel and create a circuit from. So I'll be able to charge the battery for the pumps the next day if I run it dry. So that's the other good thing about this regulator, because this guy here, he's about 8 amps an hour. So if you're talking 50 amp hour battery and you've got this guy running a flat chat, it may work out your battery after one day is going to need to be recharged. If you can actually turn it down a little bit with the voltage regulator, you're going to get more life out of this guy. So look, I'll leave it at that. I've been rambling on for a while, but hopefully you've enjoyed it. Something different. And yeah, gold's basically, at the end of the day, if you can just figure out how gravity works with gold, I think you're halfway there. And that includes a $10 pan and a shovel as you walk along the creek and you see a rock and you go, well, maybe that's just sitting behind it because it's dropped off because of the weight and the flow. So anyway, there you go. Be cool, enjoy your prospecting, and take care.